Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of The Bald Brad Show. It is officially Monday. I think it's St. Patrick's Day. Maybe I should have wore green. Well, hell, it doesn't matter anymore because we're already live. We're already doing the show. And I couldn't be happier than to spend this fine morning with all you Patriots. I hope you had a lovely weekend. Don't know what you did, but for me, I actually got a lot of stuff done, which was really, really, really nice to happen. Well, we got a lot of news to cover, so we're going to just jump right into it. We are kicking off with huge poll numbers, huge, just astronomical. Huge poll numbers for Trump. President Trump cracks right direction threshold. Not seen since 2004. 20 years. We haven't seen these numbers. President Donald Trump and his administration hit a major milestone in the most recent NBC News poll. At 44% of Americans now believe that the United States is headed in the right direction. I'll tell you what, though, listening to some of these news outlets like MSNBC, CNN, NBC, ABC, you would almost think otherwise. Or listening to all these hysterical lefties, you would think that we having issues with the sound. Am I matching up? I think we're looking okay. I think we are okay. Let me know. If not, then we'll have to deal with it, but I don't know. Should be matching. Hello. Yeah. Well, you're seeing the numbers here. Let's roll it.
The mood of the country. This really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44%, you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country. First of all, the mood of the country. This really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44%, you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country. First of all, the mood of...
Did you see that last one right there? Very positive among Republicans, almost 75%. Huge leap since 2017. Numbers are big. Mind you, this is MSNBC. So this is really, really wild stuff. And thank you for the audio check over there, folks. We did increase our bit rate over on OBS, which is the software that I use to stream. So it should be better quality. And sometimes, you know, my mouth moves quicker than what the hell is going on. So I don't blame anybody for thinking that. But these are good numbers. This is what you want to see, because if you're getting these type of numbers, again, from these left-wing media outlets, there is going to be some sort of bias. Now, how could that bias arise in these polls? Remember, these are generally just surveys, observational studies, quick phone calls. And they ask, I don't want to say specific questions, but sometimes the questions will elicit what's known as a response bias. And this response bias can be elicited through the form of an authority figure or through the form of the way the question's proposed that will lead the respondent to answer in a specific way. So they kind of set them up to lead onto a narrative that they want to push. So if this is already reaching through that and we're getting these types of numbers, this is really, really good news, folks. So glad to see Donald Trump doing well in the polls. He's making America great again. America is winning, not just on foreign, but also domestic. He's turning things around. People want safer neighborhoods. They want safer localities. They want safer states. They want a safer union, meaning United States of America. Donald Trump's doing that by deporting illegal aliens. He's doing that by imposing these tariffs on people. And he's also doing that by holding strong. If you guys are enjoying what you're seeing, hit that like button. It does support us, folks. We need your help because you know that ScrewTube, well, they screw with us. Here you have White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt ripping the Associated Press, which are in the hot seat right now, for not understanding a very simple idea. So she was on Sunday Morning Futures, and she's slamming a reporter with the Associated Press who challenged her on tariffs during a press conference last week. We covered this, and the Associated Press was getting a little feisty in the White House press briefing room with Caroline over tariffs saying, have you paid a tariff? Because I have. Who cares if you paid a tariff and somebody else hasn't? We can still know how the effects of it and the outgrowths of it contribute or don't contribute to said something that whatever we're talking about.
Would you characterize the quote unquote resists and the challenges from, I guess, AP has been pushing back on your press conferences pretty often?
Sure. Well, first of all, with that individual reporter from the Associated Press who tried to test me on tariffs, he clearly fails to see President Trump's long-term economic strategy, which is to bring in so much revenue, so much wealth into our country through tariffs that we can give larger tax cuts to the American people to put more money back into their pockets. He clearly didn't understand that very simple idea. But as for the greater mainstream media's coverage, I think that example proves that they are continue to double down on their failing ways. They focus on sensationalism, on trying to get a viral moment rather than asking tough questions with honest integrity and journalistic curiosity, wanting to know the answers. They want to make a name for themselves. And that's why the trust in the mainstream media has fallen to record lows. And that's why at the White House, we are very proud of the changes that we have made to the briefing room and also to the press coverage of this president, welcoming in independent voices and new media who truly care about the truth, honesty, and accuracy.
Yeah, but, you know, it's more than AP. It's basically the Washington press in terms of resisting President Trump. You also have these judges who are resisting. We're going to talk about this most recent federal judge's move with Jim Jordan coming up. But what do you want to say about the general resistance to this president's policies that you are witness to?
President Trump is not shy of resistance. He has been facing more resistance than anyone who has ever run for office in American history. And the mainstream media is part of that. But also, as you mentioned, we have judges in our judicial branch who are acting as activists, not real arbiters of the law. And there has been 15 injunctions in 1 month of President Trump's agenda.
Isn't that crazy?
The Biden White House only faced 13 injunctions in the entirety of his presidency. And so clearly, there are left-wing activists who sit behind a bench in a courthouse who don't like this president and his policies. But the fact is, everything President Trump is doing is within his executive authority to do it. He is acting within the bounds of the law. All of his actions are constitutional. And our White House and the entire administration are prepared to fight back against this resistance. Don't bet against President Trump. I think his epic return to the Oval Office proves that he is going to win against the weaponization of our justice system.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth to what they're saying here. If you recall, and we'll get to the story a little bit later, a judge demanded through court order that Donald Trump turn the planes around when he was deporting, was it the Tren de Agua or whatever the hell their damn name is, the violent gang members of illegal aliens. A judge ordered him to turn it around. We'll get to that news story in just a little bit here. But these judges have gone rogue. They're activist judges in the same way you have activist teachers, in the same way you have activist news reporters. They're activists first, and then they are said job or career of whatever they're doing. You see this everywhere where you should be a teacher, and then if you want to do the activist work outside the classroom, well, that's fine and dandy with me. If you want to be a progressive lefty outside the classroom, as long as you're not doing it inside, I actually have no problems with that. I have a problem with you being a progressive because it doesn't make sense to me. But if that's what you want to do, then go ahead. If you want to trans yourself, then do it outside of whatever job you're doing and go do it. But don't bring that stuff onto children or other people and then have other people being forced to play into your makeshift reality. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work for anybody other than the person that's trying to force you to do said thing, in the same way these progressive judges want to force you to do their will, their bidding. I mean, this goes all the way down, folks, to all these lefties trying to get the cake shop owners to bake an LGBTQ plus elemental soup cake for them when it goes against their religious viewpoint. So it's interesting how it's always being thrown down our throats that we're trying to impose our religious viewpoint on the left and that we're trying to get them to conform to us. But I don't see us utilizing force against them. What I see them is using force against us by taking us to court, using activist judges to do their bidding and their will, vandalizing Tesla, burning down buildings like we saw at Black Lives Matter, taking over Chaz and Chop, Maxine Waters going out in the streets once again, threatening violence against Trump supporters and Donald Trump himself. There's a little bit of a constant theme here with the progressive left through the use of force, a lot of times violence, trying to do their will and their bidding to cram it down the throats of American citizens to get their will done. So I don't see that again. I'm not saying it doesn't happen on the right. It obviously does. Because you go, January 6th. What about January 6th? What about all those billions of dollars you threw out the window by burning down our cities with Black Lives Matter? What about Antifa going through the streets for years and going after reporters, conservatives, Republicans, independents for that matter? Hell, really anybody that goes against their narrative. What about that? And that's just to name a couple off the top of my head. Give me a break. Well, speaking of those judges here, you got Caroline Leavitt vowing Trump will fully implement his agenda despite the resistance from activist judges. Now, I want to be careful here because a part of this I like and a part of it I don't. I do like when he goes against a judge when we know that we are 100% correct. I don't like this when we know that we're going to be wrong. We need to follow the law. This is something that I had a big problem with from the Biden administration that did not want to execute the laws on the books. And it is our job to follow it. So I just want to be clear on that he should follow the law. We know there's times where we are correct, like that plane flying to El Salvador, which we'll get to because that's an update for us. I know I keep talking about it, but it's a big update. Here she is.
Court rulings about all the fired probationary workers. You used the same language here just now that was in the statement about fighting back against that ruling. Do you mean appealing or something else? And does the administration plan to comply with those orders in the meantime?
Fighting back by appealing, fighting back by using the full weight of the White House counsel's office and our lawyers at the federal government who believe that this injunction is entirely unconstitutional. And it is for anybody who has a basic understanding of the law. You cannot have a low-level district court judge filing an injunction to usurp the executive authority of the President of the United States. That is completely absurd. And as the executive of the executive...
Oh, no, come on. I'll take care of it for us. Don't worry. Don't you worry, folks. It's not me. It's Elon. I was told we got to blame Elon for everything now.
That is completely absurd. And as the executive of the executive branch, the president has the ability to fire or hire. And you have these lower level judges who are trying to block this president's agenda. It's very clear. And as I just cited, I was appalled by the statistic when I saw it this morning. In 1 month in February, there have been 15 injunctions of this administration in our agenda. In 3 years under the Biden administration, there were 14 injunctions. So it's very clear that there are judicial activists throughout our judicial branch who are trying to block this president's executive authority. We are going to fight back. And as anyone who saw President Trump and his legal team fighting back, they know how to do it. He was indicted nearly 200 times, and he's in the Oval Office now because all of the indictments, all of these injunctions have always been unconstitutional and unfair. They are led by partisan activists who are trying to usurp the will of this president, and we're not going to stand for it. Thanks.
And not just the will of the president, but the will of the people. I mean, you're seeing the poll numbers. That's why we led with it. I think it's important to lead with America is winning again. I think it's important to lead the show with Donald Trump doing extremely well in poll numbers with everybody for the most part, other than the psychos that have Trump derangement syndrome. They just don't like the guy. The guy can literally cure cancer, save their entire family of cancer or some terrible disease, and they would still not like the guy. So when you lead with that, and then you go into all the outgrowths of what we're about to go through today, the media, mostly the Democrat media, is going to say, oh, well, what about this? What about tariffs? Notice there's no question about egg prices anymore all of a sudden. That's really weird how that went out the door in 2 months. The guy gets inaugurated. 15 minutes later, the left, this is not an exaggeration, comes out and says, well, why are egg prices down? Well, the guy just got inaugurated, you idiot. He hasn't actually even signed anything yet to really be classified as the president of the United States. And they're already complaining. Their panties are already in a bunch. So now the egg prices are down. Some of them, by the way, are still complaining about egg prices, even though they're down before Donald Trump ever got into office. So nothing this guy does is good enough for them. So you got, speaking of the psychos, you have this coming out. This is why you want to cut off the money, man. This is why you want to cut off the funding to these universities. At Columbia University, a professor who participated in pro-Hamas protests. Now, I'm just going to rephrase that and call it what it is. This is pro-terrorist protests. Well, this professor has been connected to more than $100 million in grants, while she has promoted the idea that brain disease can be catalyzed by racism. These people I'm telling you, you don't get an education anymore, folks. If you wanted to get an education, it is not like when we grew up. It is vastly easier. You could have half a brain and get through college nowadays. College was supposed to be rigorous, right? It was supposed to be for intellectuals to get a degree in something that was somewhat challenging. You know, accounting, engineering's pretty challenging. Computer science is pretty challenging. The mathematics, right? The STEMs are pretty challenging. You doing lesbian dance theory and learning how to do a backflip, juggling some freaking bongs, hell, I don't know. That's not a degree. Underwater basket weaving is not a thing. I'm sure you can find it somewhere, but it's not going to make you a lot of money. So when they invest $120,000 in student loans and they come out with all this debt, well, then it's up to you to pay for, folks. And if you don't pay for it, well, you're a scumbag. You're not empathetic, especially if you're not paying for these psychos who love terrorism. If you're definitely not paying for their education, if you're not paying for their research on how to catalyze freaking a brain disease by racism, well, you know, you got an issue. That's according to them, not me. I don't want to pay for their education. Personally, I don't think we should be getting any money to these universities. They charge enough as it is. Figure it out. We all have to figure it out with our businesses. I don't get any grants coming in. We get tips. We get people donating and memberships, but you also get a really strong service back. Hopefully you feel that way. I love you guys. Columbia neuropsychologist Jennifer Manley, not so manly in my opinion. You see what I did there? Stood in a human blockade intending to prevent administrators from dismantling the unauthorized encampments last April. City Journal's Christopher Rufo and Hannah Grossman noted, adding, according to the National Institutes of Health and other publicly accessible databases, she's been named in connection with over $100 million in grants over the past 20 years. Rufo and Grossman point out that in an interview last year, Manley declared that we shouldn't blame people for their lifestyle choices in terms of their brain health, blaming systems of oppression and discriminatory beliefs to cause an inordinate percentage of dementia among Black people. This is a real quote, by the way. Any biological differences are driven by, quote, racism. Manley stated, adding that racism is the pathway through which race is biologized. Oh my. This is the fucking shit. You can't make this up. You know what? I was going to stop there. But you know there's something better. There's something in here that's just, there always is. You got to find it. Needle and haystack, there's gems. One paper Manley co-authored blamed historical patterns on segregation for higher rates of dementia among Blacks. I knew it. It's got to go one sentence in. Oh, shit. Another paper. Oh, we got more. We got more. I'm not going to be able to do it. Hold on. Let me get myself ready. Oh, I'm getting teary-eyed. Another paper blamed structural sexism for declining memory, with the effect to be stronger among Black women. This is so wild. This is the shit these people focus on. I can't even read. The National Institute of Health granted Manley and her colleagues roughly $700,000 to examine how racism and brain disease are connected, prompting a paper. Oh shit, they wrote some stuff on it. The impact. Dude, I'm so sorry. Can I have a moment? This is so insane. This is the stuff we're spending our money on. Isn't this great? Okay, the impact of historical lynchings on biological and cognitive health for older adults radicalized or racialized as Black. Oh boy. This is insane. The paper's abstract stated, the study examines the association between state-level exposure to historical lynchings advertised childhood racism for modern older adults with C-reactive protein and global cognitive performances. Now, I would like to point out, you could find associations in a lot of places. Usually associations a little bit more loosey-goosey. You're kind of just analyzing things through an observation. You're kind of just looking at it from like a holistic perspective. And then when you run the study, you could go a step deeper through like an actual experiment within itself and see and find how much through a regression that variable, or said two variables, an explanatory and response variable, actually connect with one another and see how strong it is. And by the way, I would like to point out that word association's huge, because through associations, you can't determine cause and effect. So I'm going to say that again, which is why I'm laughing. You are paying $700,000 for a BS study, which I know you guys knew that already, to determine association between two things. Here's an association for everybody. Ice cream sales and shark attacks. There's actually a strong association between the two. And when you say something like that, people would think, wow, if I eat ice cream and I go inside the ocean, I'm going to be eaten by a shark because there's a big association, which is true. If you look at the graph between ice cream sales and shark attacks, there is actually a really strong association between the two. That doesn't mean there's cause and effect. It doesn't mean that if you eat ice cream, you're going to secrete that through your body and that you're going to start being eaten by sharks. But this is how they manipulate things. And yes, they are the artards over there at Columbia. This is where Karine Jean-Pierre went, folks. This is where the people that say they're smarter than you, which they're not. Wow, you could read from a textbook and take a test on it. Stop traffic, notify the newspapers. Holy shit. Clearly you don't have actual common sense and real thinking. And I'm not saying I do either. I'm not holier than thou than any of these people. I mean, I would like to think my morality is a little bit better, not by far, not by much, because I don't support terrorism. But I'm not, like, some of these people are smarter than me. I'll give it to them. I'll give it to them. I'm not a smart guy. I'm a normal guy. I'm normal. Okay? Just an average Joe American. I'm not an intellectual. I'm not like a Ben Shapiro or Charlie Kirk. Just an average guy that likes to come on here and hang out with some patriots. Okay? But Columbia University's back. Well, it looks like they're expelling people and revoking degrees from students who seized campus buildings. So it turns out when you cut off the fountain, when you turn off the water, people start scrambling. Turns out when you cut off the $400 million, they go, oh shit, what do we do? Get rid of them. We need the money. Hal, we need the money. Students involved in seizing Columbia University's Hamilton Hall in spring of 2024 have been suspended, expelled, and had their degrees temporarily revoked. Only temporarily. We got to make sure we make the headlines, people's perception changes, and then secretly behind closed doors, we'll go ahead and slide that under the door for you, buddy. There you go. The university announced the punishments on Thursday, but did not reveal their identities or how many students were really punished. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe three. Ooh. Today, the Columbia University Judicial Board determined findings and issued sanctions to students ranging from multi-year suspensions, temporary degree revocations, and expulsions related to the occupation of Hamilton Hall last year. The Ivy League school, yeah, you heard that correctly, it's an Ivy League school. These idiots go out there and protest. These same people that got in this Ivy League school, that's why I said it's all scam, folks. This whole education system is just a joke. I'm telling you, I really do mean that. It's all fake. It's not real. Grades are fake. Grades are inflated. The Ivy Leagues are inflated. Nothing's real. You learn gender studies. You learn that a man can be a woman and one woman can be a man. Nothing's real anymore. You do kumbaya. You sit out there on campus and strum the drum, smoke some weed, do some crazy stuff. It's all a joke nowadays. It's just a long 4-year vacation. At the end of the day, you get a piece of paper. You all could go to Ivy Leagues regardless if you know anything or not. Well, with respect to other events taking place last spring, the UJB's determinations recognized previously imposed disciplinary action. The return of suspended students will be overseen by Columbia University's Life Office. Oh, I told you it's a scam. Who needs a Life Office? Columbia is committed to enforcing the university's rules and policies and improving our disciplinary processes. Sure you are. Sure you are. You still got a bunch of people that are Jew haters. Come on. Come on. Give me a break. Look, the best president in modern history sees it. He knows what's going on. He's not a knucklehead like these Ivy Leaguers at these big universities they want to brag to us about that's hanging on their wall. I went to Columbia. Ooh, the same Columbia that supports terrorism? Don't mean anything to me. Trump administration investigating more than 50 universities over their diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI policies, which officials say discriminate against white and Asian students. This has been going on some time. And if you read my book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America, we talk about this. I talk about the SAT scores, how Asians have to earn a higher SAT score to get into the same university as college students. And that is why, through that book, I also explain that a lot of people, when they get into these universities, because their grades are fake, right? They didn't actually earn an A. They got an A, but they didn't earn one. It's not real. Then they're getting into these universities and they're going into the STEM fields because they got an A in math somehow. They don't know how to do a square root or multiply numbers, but they got into somehow a high level of math at a university, and they're taking STEM at a place that's exponentially harder than, say, like a state school or something, and they can't compete. So now they took out $120,000 of student debt, which you can't claim bankruptcy on, by the way. That doesn't go away. It's actually one of the few things that when you file bankruptcy, you still have to pay off. They don't know what to do. So they switch into lesbian dance theory, and all of a sudden they get A's again. It's amazing how that works out. Well, the State Department, forgive me, the Department of Education announced the probes on Friday, a month after the administration instructed universities to end their DEI programs or risk losing federal funding. Students must be assessed according to their merit and accomplishment, not prejudged by the color of their skin. Yeah. Isn't it weird that we're still having to tell Democrats this decades later? It's not, look, Republicans don't support affirmative action. Republicans don't support, and conservatives and independents, don't support DEI. Look, DEI, in principle, is fine with me. Diversity, equity, and inclusion based on thought, that's what you would want. You would want people in there that have different lines of thinking, different levels of IQ, so that you could come and kind of hash out the best solution to said problem. You can't do that with race. Race is meaningless. Wow, you went out and tanned more than the other person, or wow, you produce more melanin than the other person does. As far as I'm aware, and I've been saying this for years, I actually haven't found the study to even claim it. Folks, I have never seen a study that actually explains that the color of your skin is associated to your IQ level or how well you are at doing something cognitively. I mean, I'm sure the left will scrap up something and they'll claim, well, there's an association between skin color and your cognitive abilities. That doesn't mean that that's a cause and effect. Wow, there's an association between two things. Oh, amazing. If you're having a good time, hit that like and subscribe button. We do this every morning, folks. If you're not entertained, I don't know. Are you not entertained? I'm Marcus Aurelius Decimus Maximus Meridius, leaders of the armies of the North, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife. In this life or next, I will have my vengeance. Are you not entertained? Well, out of the 52 universities now under investigation, 45 are coming under federal scrutiny due to their involvement with a group called the PhD Project. Oh, these people are doctors. With the education department described as an organization that purports to provide doctoral students with insights into obtaining a PhD and networking opportunities, but limits, check this out, limits the eligibility based on race of participants. Oh, Democrats are still pushing racism. Isn't that remarkable? It's never changed. They went from making it out loud back in the olden days where they loved slavery, they loved plantations, to now doing a metaphorical plantation and still being racist. They loved segregation back in the day. Thanks to Republicans, there is no more segregation. And now they still love segregation. Nothing changes with that party. So much so, they didn't even change their fucking name. Let that one sink in. We talk about this all the time. They didn't even change their name after they were the party of slavery, the party of the Klan, the party of anti-civil rights. They never changed their name, and it was for a reason, folks. That is why. That is why. Now, surprising news here. Look at this. Texas AG to defend Texas A&M over, listen carefully, decision to ban campus drag shows. I told you, folks, the college system is a joke. It's a sham. Do not send your kids to these Ivy League schools, these huge, well-named schools, it doesn't mean anything anymore. They're going to be indoctrinated. Just find a school that's in your state. Just send them there. It's going to be cheaper. Have the kid get a side job. Help pay it off at the same time if you don't have the money to pay it for them. Most people don't. And they're going to be a lot better off for it. Texas, or go into a trade school. Hell, I'd say just dodge college altogether. Learn carpentry, learn a plumber, all that stuff. You make a lot more money nowadays. A lot more money. Do trade school. Be an electrician. Do the elevator unions. Longshoreman down in Long Beach, you're making six figures. Become a firefighter, a cop, all those things. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton will defend Texas A&M in court after it was sued over a decision to ban drag performances on its campuses. No, this is what you're paying for. See, that $120,000 doesn't go to actual textbooks or really anything like that. It goes to putting money into people's thongs, where guys duct tape their schlinganga to their gooch and then pretend they're a woman in front of your kid. And your kid's not telling you this. Your kid's probably liking it because they were mentally messed up in the education system. The Board of Regents for Texas A&M was sued earlier this month by a student group called the Queer Empowerment Council, which alleged that the board's February decision to no longer sanction drag shows on campus is a violation of the First Amendment. Paxton said Friday that the publicly funded university system has no obligation to host obscene drag shows and that he would be representing the board. Cool. Our colleges and universities exist to help students learn and equip them as they take their next steps in life, Paxton told. Well, Paxton, you're being too logical, buddy. No, you're making too much sense here. The left, they're freaking out. Why can't I have my drag shows? I just want to express myself. There's a great quote that I got over the weekend, and feel free to take it because I took it from somebody else. We're a shameless society, folks. No longer can you shame a shameless society. It's fine to look like a gangster all the time, wearing pants that are down at your ankles and thinking it's cool. It's cool to look like a bum. It's cool to get bad grades. It's cool not to do your homework. It's cool to think you're a man when actuality you're a woman. It's cool to do all these things. It's cool to be in massive debt. It's cool to go to drag shows. It's cool to be this. It's just ridiculous nowadays. It really is. You can't shame any of these kids anymore. This new generation, there's no shame. There's only depression. They are not and have never been a place for taxpayer-funded drag shows where men pretending to be women engage in obscene, offensive, and degrading behavior. And like I said, you wonder where your money's going, right? When you send your kid off to college, even if your kid's straight, right? I'm not talking like literally straight. I'm talking like straight edge. Like he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do drugs, he doesn't go to drag shows, blah, blah. He's just there for the education like I was in college. I wasn't there to screw around. I was there to get my accounting degree, get a job my junior year, at least sign contract, and then leave college with a nice job at a good firm, which is what happened. Because I didn't go to drag shows, because I didn't go and watch those freaking guys on campus with the pickets, right, that you always see saying, I love the devil, right, chanting weird crap. Those people really were there. This is the stuff you're paying for, folks. This is where our tax dollars are going. This is where your kids' education money is going. That's why you got to be careful, man. I'm telling you, you going on these campus tours, folks, you going on these campus tours looking at these universities, it's like going to North Korea. They're only going to take you to the places that look good. Well, look at all the shiny stuff. Look at the gym that your kid's never going to use because they're going to be studying their ass off if they have actually a good major. If you have a good major, folks, you're not going to be in the gym all that much. Maybe you will if you're actually disciplined. No, you'll actually be studying. But because a lot of these people have degrees in lesbian dance theory, gender identity, gender affirming care studies, whatever it is, you don't need to study for that, because your answer to whatever question's being proposed has to be true, because reality and truth in those classes don't exist, meaning anything you say can be held as truth. Why? Because it's your truth. It's your truth. It's not objective truth. It's subjective truth. And that if you say anything otherwise, well, you're a bigot, sexist, homophobe, which goes against the creed and values of not just the university system, but goes against the creed and values of that professor that has their hair in a pigtails and also has their tits duct taped and is wearing a fake you-know-what and walking around campus thinking they're a man. I think it's a pretty good rant. Hey, Brad, like, simmer down. It's Monday, man. Like, I haven't woken up yet. Calm down. Well, folks, we don't calm down here. We bring you nothing but the energy. If you're new here, hit that follow button or that subscribe button. Now, I would say head to Rumble and follow, because you'll actually be notified when we go live. We ran a small little study. About 35% of my viewers don't see my videos, and they have to actually search for me to find me. But don't worry, nothing weird's going on over at YouTube. Just almost 80,000. We'll hit 100,000 subscribers, and you watch, mark my words, our views still won't change. 100,000 subscribers, and I guarantee you, we'll increase 20,000 people by May, end of May. You will see the viewership will not change. By the way, that's statistically not possible, by the way. It's statistically not possible with a high degree of confidence. That is not possible. And those that know statistics know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that doesn't happen that way. The only thing that happens that way is when there's foozery going on. And that's called throttling somebody's channel. It's the only way it happens. You want to know how I know that? Look over at Rumble right now. We have twice as many people watching over at Rumble with 1,800 followers currently than I do with 100,000 subscribers over at YouTube. Doesn't make sense. Just saying, doesn't make sense. How do I have 1,800, double the viewership that I do with 100,000 over at YouTube? That makes sense. But something that I love that does make sense is Donald Trump heard. He heard the call, Patriots. He said, hey, these are the monsters. Get them out of here. So Trump administration has deported over 250 gang members, baby. And where did they go? I prayed for this. My prayers are answered, baby. If you pray to the Lord, if you get out on your knees, son, if you put the time and the effort into knowing your Lord and Savior, if you breathe the air, if you put in the passion, then your prayers too will be answered. Can I get an oh man? This is what I wanted. This is shit, I was sweating doing that. That's why those guys are like wiping out their faces. If you love the Lord, if you're getting down with me, can I get it out, man? If you preach the name of Jesus, if you bring in the angels, if you bring in the money, if you bring in the Lord and Savior, then you too can get it out, man. And then right there pouring sweat, you know what I mean? It's all dripping into the communion. Anyways, that's why you guys come here, right? The shenanigans, the silliness. Well, President Donald Trump posted a video, and you can see it right here, we'll get to it, on Sunday, of criminal illegal aliens arriving in El Salvador after his administration deported 250 of them despite an order issued late Friday by an Obama-appointed judge, mind you, and this is what Caroline Leavitt was talking about. Trump's team shared a video of the prisoners exiting the plane along with a statement the president has posted on his Truth Social platform. I've been asking for this, I've been begging for this, and finally it's happened. Oh, come on. Really? I'm going to be a lefty here. Oh, come on. You don't got to have guns. Why are they locked up? Oh, that's so despicable. Oh, that's so racist and bigoted. Why are you shackling those gang members up? They were just here for a better life. Now, I'm not being retarded, okay? I want to be clear on that. Okay? Don't be fooled here. These people don't get it, you guys. The left does not get it that people have gone rogue on these planes and gone after stuff, meaning the people on the plane, the security. You need the security for a reason, but they're too dumb to understand that. In the same way, they just think that you don't need any laws in the books of harsh penalties for criminals so they don't do the offenses again. Turns out when you're lax on crime, you're going to get more of the crime that you're lax on. You notice there's not a single woman. Just going to point that out. And rightfully so, not a single woman is manhandling these men. Why? Because, well, we know why. All right, this is going a little bit long, but here they are. I'll just kind of speed up. And look at, we know this place. This is where I wanted them to go. They're gone. These are the monsters who sent into our country by Crooked Joe and radical left Democrats. How dare they? Trump. How dare you? I absolutely love it. So there they are. They're arriving. Folks, these people will never leave. They're in there for life. They will never leave. There you go. You won't see that happen here in the United States. No, it's too criminal. How could you treat them like that? Well, they raped a bunch of people and cut their heads off. I think we should treat them kind of a little bit, manhandle them, don't you think? Oh, you're racist. How could you? The left have no sense of evil, folks. The evil comes out in the forms of their policies and quite frankly, their actions. See, they'll burn down a building right in front of you and tell you it's not burning down. It's just mostly peaceful. Y'all remember that one, right? The guy, it's in the book that I wrote, MSNBC, I believe is either that or CNN. I forgot the guy's name. It's in my book, Trojan Horse. You got to buy it if you haven't already. Great gift idea for people. Just buildings burning behind, right? And he's like, hey, we're out here at a peaceful protest and everything's looking A-okay. Guys throw like Mocktail cocktails behind them, just lighting building on fire. It's a little bit warm out here. It was chilly. Not sure. My back's kind of a little hot right now, but it's mostly peaceful. You know, the whole city's ablaze behind them. That's how, folks, that's how willing the media is going to lie to you. Now, what you're seeing right now is not even really what they're pushing, right? Don't, we can't sleep on this. The media is going to come out with something. They just don't know what to point at right now because everything's going so well for Donald Trump. They don't know what to do. Their heads are spinning. Their heads are like, oh, like the Exorcist is, like they don't know what the hell is going on. But I'll tell you what we do, folks, because we drink a certain coffee here in the morning. If you're wondering how I have so much energy, if you're wondering how I bring you the entertainment, baby, and the personality, that's not really mine. This is entertaining. You know, I'm an introvert, folks. We don't drink the weak stuff here, folks. We don't drink weak coffee because weak coffee is for the weak. And at Rumble, weak has never been a part of the mission, baby. No fillers, no fraud, no settling for mediocrity. Just like 1775 coffee, baby. It's a single origin, small farm, hand-picked, specialty grade coffee that stands for quality, free speech, and calling out BS when it matters, which is what we do here on the show. You drink a sip of that bad boy, meaning 1775 coffee, you too can call it the BS with some energy. Forget stale, mass-produced beans roasted just enough to hide the flaws. Dark roast hits like a Trump tariff, baby. Medium roast keeps it bold without the bitterness and vitality. Mushroom blend, real energy and lasting focus. No synthetic garbage. For K-Cup pods, whole beans or fresh ground coffee, go to 1775coffee.com. Again, that's 1775coffee.com. Use promo code STUDIO, all caps, for 15% off and start your morning with coffee that stands for something, folks. Oh, and every dollar spent, by the way, enters you to win a Cybertruck and a $30,000 cash prize. I'm going to say that again because you actually have higher odds of getting this because not everybody gets the sponsorship. So again, every dollar spent when you buy 1775 coffee puts you in a raffle to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. You got to buy that up, folks. And by the way, we're a morning show. If you're not drinking coffee, what are you drinking? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comment section. What are y'all sipping on? Okay, if you're having a martini this early, God bless you. God bless you. Thank you, Salty Mayo, for following us over at Rumble. I do get notified when you guys go live. You can see it on the watch in real time. Right there. Tells me when you guys follow. So appreciate that. If you're new here, hop into the chat. We got a lot of regulars, a lot of great patriots, who I call my friends, are hanging in the chat constantly. And I'm blessed to have all of you join me each and every morning. Well, foreign-born population is surging now to new high with illegal immigration driving increase. So the Center of Immigration Studies says that 2/3 of foreign-born growth over the last 4 years came from illegal immigration. This was their game plan. This was the plan of the Democrat Party, folks. These people vote Democrat, by the way. They know what they're doing. The foreign-born population present in the United States has surged to a new record high of more than 53 million people, with mass illegal immigration driving much of the increase, new government data from the current population study found, which is why there's a revisit of this naturalized citizen, born citizen, 14th Amendment, I believe it is. The record-breaking figure accounts for 15.8% of the entire United States population. The Center of Immigration Studies pointed out, adding that America has entered uncharted territory in immigration. The foreign-born share is higher now than at any prior peaks reached in 1890 and 1910. No U.S. government survey or census has ever shown such a foreign-born population. The foreign-born population increased by a whopping 8.3 million over the last 4 years under the Biden administration to the new total of 53.3 million, an increase that SIS says was primarily driven by mass immigration. And as we said, why is this a problem? It's not because somebody is a foreigner necessarily, because they like to say you're bigoted and racist. My family's foreigners. My dad is a legal immigrant, came here legally, did the paperwork. My family's immigrants. They did it right. But you know what? My family's not just immigrants and did it the right way, the legal way. They also assimilated to this country. They also assimilated to what makes America great. Our founding documents, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers. That's what they believed in. They didn't believe in a party. They believed in what makes America great. They believed in the ideas that we have here. We will always fall short to those ideas, but it's striving to those ideas. It's striving towards protection if you're perfection if you're somebody of faith that we're always reaching towards. But here's the problem with foreign-born, is foreign-born brings in different cultures. That's not always a bad thing. You can utilize those cultures if it's better than the culture that you have. The problem is no other country has the founding documents that we have. They don't have the same rights as we have. They don't have the same faith structure as a base foundation, meaning Judeo-Christian values, as we have. And so what they're doing is they're bringing in their cultures. They're bringing in the things that are bad. Not every single one of them, because the left can't segregate those. They can't actually make them mutually exclusive. They can't separate them. They don't understand that when you have this massive increase in population, you change the dynamics of your culture. When you change the dynamics of your culture, you change the dynamics of the country. You change the dynamics of the country. You change it through the form of political activism, through the form of your politicians that you put in place. That's why you get people like AOC. That's why you get people like Rashida Tlaib. That's why you get people like Ilhan Omar that go against the will of the country, that actually like terrorism. They like what these foreigners are doing in some cases. Now, I'm not against immigration, but you pouring in people across the country that are here illegally, and then they're having kids, and then they're inculcating that same culture within their kids. Yeah, it does kind of create a problem. And by the way, there are countries throughout human history that have crippled under their own weight because they allowed this to happen. And what you're seeing in modern times right now, more so than actually you're seeing it here, you are seeing it here in the United States. Just check out how Europe's doing right now. Yeah, just go do a little bit of a search just for a couple hours on Europe and let me know how that one's working out for them. By the way, not to mention, we're going to do this really quickly. Senate overwhelmingly passes fentanyl trafficking bill. Critical steps towards ending the crisis. Just want to point out, Joe could have done this at any moment, right? It's always about legislation, but he didn't want to pass legislation. Oh, we need to secure the border, but didn't want to secure the border. The short answer, folks, is he just didn't want to do it. Now, in an 84-16 vote, the Senate passed the Halt Fentanyl Act. What this is it would make traffickers of fentanyl substances that have been altered so as to not technically be fentanyl, subject to criminal penalties as fentanyl dealers. To shoe in the 16 people, well, the 16 opponents, anybody want to guess who all the 16 opponents were? Just take a guess. I'm going to help you a little bit. I said they love this stuff. They love this stuff. They love the crime. They love the drugs. They love the terrorists being here. They love giving your money to foreign countries left and right, regardless of whether they're corrupt or not. Who is it? Who are all 16? I'm not saying 15 of the 16, all 16. I'm just going to show you really quick here. All the 8 out of the 84, the 16. Who do you think every single one of these were? Do you think they're independents, Green Party, Democrats? Who do you think? See you guys right in the chat. All 16 bill. All 16 opponents on the bill were Democrats. Some of whom were opposed to the aspect that allowed for harsher penalty criminal sentences. Of course. Of course. Because they love it, you guys. They love it. Now, as you saw really quickly, we're not going to spend too much time on this next one. Obama appointed judge orders planes deporting Trende Aragua terrorists to return to the United States. So we showed the clip really quick of the planes going. And I told you at the beginning of the show today, hey, there's a story here where the judge, an activist judge, obviously an Obama appointed judge, as you're seeing, hell, it could have been a Joe appointed judge, you would have gotten the same thing, are circumventing the system, telling the president what to do here in terms of the executive or the laws that are in place. So the U.S. District Judge, a judge appointed by former President Barack Obama, ordered on Saturday that the president recent order designated violent Venezuelan prison gang members as a foreign terrorist was illegal, and all planes deporting them should be stopped or returned to the United States. That is bonkers, by the way. That is wild to me. But you are seeing what happens when you appoint these judges whose heads aren't on straight. These people love crime. These people love these gang members being here and running roughshod over your country, over your localities, more than that. I mean, hell, Donald Trump, to be even fair, doesn't know who any of us are. We should be more concerned what goes on in our localities and our states than we really do on a federal level, to be honest. And that's why I like what Doge is doing. This is why I like what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing by slashing the federal government, because it was never built this way. Do you want to know why so many people are okay with having a bloated government? It's because we don't teach civics in school anymore. Did you know we haven't actually taught civics for like 2 generations almost? I don't know if anybody's aware of that. Yeah, you don't actually learn civics anymore in school. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist. You might find it as maybe like an elective, maybe, but no, it's not mandatory. Like when we were all in school, we had to take civics. We actually learned how government worked. We learned the outgrowths of all these founding documents. We learned how things functioned. We learned the purpose of all 3 branches. Now you come out of high school, you don't even know the 3 branches. There's not even a high school exit exam anymore, by the way, you guys. We all took a high school exit exam to graduate high school. If you didn't pass it, guess what? Well, little Johnny's not getting his diploma. They don't have a high school exit exam anymore. They haven't had one for over a decade. Why? Because people can't pass it. And guess what? They used to have placement exams in universities as well. I know I'm kind of deviating from this from a little bit, but it's important that you know this. They don't even have placement exams at some universities anymore. So if you used to have to take an English and math placement exam to see where you place, because why in God's green earth would you put them in a Calc BC class, or let's say Calc 2 or 3 class, when you'd never taken calculus in the first place? You don't even know algebra. Well, that's a little bit of a problem, isn't it? So you'd have to take maybe a bunch of prerequisites because you didn't score into the right math to get your diploma or to get the credits you needed to graduate. So you got to work up the ladder. Well, because kids can't pass the stuff anymore, guess what? They've done away with it. You don't need to know any of the stuff anymore. You just get to elect whatever class you're in. And by the way, when you don't learn it, well, that's not your fault that you didn't learn it. It's the professor's fault. They just didn't teach me well enough. No, you should never been in the fucking class in the first place. I hate to tell you. By the way, you shouldn't even be at the university. But that's for a bigger thing. I don't even know how I got on that tangent. Somebody connect the dots for me. Was illegal, and all planes deporting them should be stopped and returned to the United States. Oh yeah, we're talking about civics, and the civics rolled into the school system, and the school system rolled in the university system, and now we're back here. Judge said here he put a temporary hold, 14 days, on Trump's use of the 1798 illegal or Aliens Enemies Act, and applied it to active deportations already in progress. Any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States. However, that is accomplished. Make sure it's complied immediately. And you know what Donald Trump did? He said, "Fuck you." That deserved a cuss. That deserved a cuss. You know that's what Donald Trump did. You know he picked up the phone. He says, "Pete." Actually, I think his secretary is, honestly, I think her name's Margaret, if I remember correctly. "Pete, get him on the phone." What's his judge's name again? What's his nut job's name? James. "Yeah, is this James?" "Yeah, hi, James. This is the President of the United States. I have one message. Fuck you." Click. The wild thing is, you know that's plausible. You know that Trump might do something like that. That's the great thing about it. And you know what he's going to do? "Pete, get James on the phone again. I got to apologize." "Yeah, hi, James. This is the President of the United States again. I just wanted to say, fuck you again." Click. So sorry. I cracked myself up. Nobody's probably even laughing right now. Like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Well, there you go. You got the thing. There's the receipts. You see it. Now, God, I love bringing you receipts. Now, you got to understand, it's not just the media, right? It's not just these activist judges. It is the Democrat Party that is full-blown for crime and gangs. I know, trust me, you guys, I know that you all are aware of this because we've been hounding it for 4 years, showing you proof for 4 years. Going on 5 years soon. 5 years showing you the proof that the Democrats will vote for crime. They will vote to have these gang member illegal aliens running over their city, murdering people left and right. They don't care. They're almost to the point where you can have an illegal gang member kill your own family member in front of your own eyes and go, don't worry about it. And just go, where's my checkbook, honey? How much money you need? They're just writing out a check, right? Just, auto pen it like Joe Biden. Well, here's a Democrat who you've seen before. Representative Jasmine tells Jake Tapper, we can't trust this administration to actually use a scalpel, but instead they love to use a butcher's knife. Here, we've seen her before. This one should look familiar to you. This is the same person, just last week, the same person that told all of us that illegal immigration isn't a crime. We cited the actual penal code for her. She said it wasn't a crime. If you haven't seen that, well, maybe we can find it for you again. Here we go.
Trump seeking to use the Alien Enemies Act, a wartime authority, a law signed by John Adams in 1798, to deport undocumented Venezuelans that the administration say are dangerous individuals with ties to the gang Tren de Aragua. That gang is obviously associated with a lot of crime, human trafficking, drug dealing, theft, shootings, including in your state of Texas, right outside of your congressional district. Do you agree with this? And if not, what's your issue with the U.S. using any tool at its disposal to remove undocumented violent people from this country?
Well, my argument is that we already have tools that are available to remove undocumented violent people from our country. And so the idea that you want to go into a zombie law, this is kind of like what we saw in Arizona when they decided to revive a zombie law around abortion. It is the fact that we can't trust this administration to actually use a scalpel, but instead they love to use a butcher knife on things. And so
I'll tell you what, I can't trust those eyelashes that stay on your face. Lordy Jesus.
Them this wide latitude to just kind of go across and just claim that anybody is anything is wrong. And so we do have courts, we do have processes, we do have laws, and we should just go ahead and use.
That's not me. Thank God. Thank God it cut her off. I couldn't take any more of it. Some of you are pointing out that she is a lawyer. Yeah. Look, it just brings you make the case. I don't know if this is true, but allegedly what I'm hearing is she is a lawyer. So is Kamala Harris. Folks, I'm not exaggerating. If you were ever thinking about making a career switch and going to get a degree in school, right now is the time to do it. College is a joke. Everything is a joke. You can go pass with flying colors. You don't need to know shit about the legal system. You would still get it. If she can do it, if Kamala Harris, the word salad, can do it, you could do it too. And I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm saying you're smarter than these people. It'd be a cakewalk for you. And by the way, that goes with any degree. I'm an accountant. Well, not anymore. You can get an accounting degree. You're going to be fine. A law degree, STEM, mathematics, doesn't matter. You're good. You're good. You just do it. Now, this next article here is just pissing a lot of Democrats off, right? I mean, really, what is it nowadays, to be fair? But Rubio banned South Africa's ambassador to the United States from entering the country. Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared that South Africa's ambassador to the United States was no longer welcome in the country this week after he claimed that President Donald Trump was mobilizing white supremacy around the world. Jesus. South Africa's ambassador to the United States is no longer welcome to our great country. Hey, Marco, can you get in touch with Marco? Yeah, it's Bald Brad from the Bald Brad Show. Good, I'm doing great. Patriots are with me. Hey, can we cut off all funding to Africa? Yeah. Yep. Every penny. Oh, you could do it. Oh, Elon's with you? Hi, Elon. Put me on speaker. Hi, Elon. I love you. Tell X I said, what up, dog? Cut off all funding. I'll tell you what, they'll change your tune really quick. Really quick. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to spread white supremacy. It's a long clip. I'm not going to play the whole clip because we don't have time. But here you have in the clip, Rasul says that President Trump and his MAGA movement are mobilizing a global white supremacy urgency. See, the thing is, it hasn't reached him yet that this isn't working for anybody anymore. You know what I mean? It's not working. The poll numbers show it. People, you got to see, this is the problem. Democrats are still stuck on this identity politics, and it's just nobody's buying into it anymore. Nobody believes it. No, Trump's against gay people. He has a cabinet member that is openly gay, by the way. He hates black people. He loves black people. He's in photos with them. He's giving them money. He loves them. They're great. Black people love Trump, by the way. There's a ton of black supporters. Give me a break. Give me a break. So really quick, let's do some rapid fire news. Is that okay with the Patriots really quick to wrap everything up? I got a lot of stuff here. Can we wrap up let's wrap it up. His miserable life was terminated. Trump with big news because America's winning, baby. He announced that top ISIS leader dead after U.S. strike. Joey could never. Joey could never. President Donald Trump announced Friday night that the United States had killed the fugitive leader of ISIS after he was relentlessly pursued. And you know who's probably going to be crapping their pants and all worried about it? The Democrats. How could he? The guy was just trying to drive to the grocery store. He just tried to make the best of what he had. Did you really have to bomb him? Freaking idiots. Today, the fugitive leader in ISIS or of ISIS in Iraq was killed. He was relentlessly hunted down by our basically warfighters. Trump posted on Truth Social his miserable life was terminated, along with another member of ISIS, a coordination with the Iraqi government and the Kurdish regional government, peace through strength. Love it. So Trump taking out terrorists, absolutely am for it. Not to mention, Trump's also launching large-scale attack on Iran-backed Houthi terrorists. Love this as well. President Donald Trump on Saturday announced the United States had launched a military offensive against Iran-backed Houthi terrorists in Yemen, a return to the muscular foreign policy that was a cornerstone of his first term. So Trump's getting comfortable here, and I'm liking it. Trump's putting on the headset, doing the play-by-play for this missile strike. So I guess they went after their radar systems, their air defenses, and missile and drone systems as well. I can't show this because YouTube is a bunch of pussies and won't let me show a bombing here of us killing, bad people. There was a picture, and let me see if I could find it for you. I actually don't have it queued up, and I should. That's my fault. Donald Trump was seen, I think he was like, just got done at the golf course or something. He was wearing a headset and basically looked like he was doing a play-by-play of the attack itself. And I want to show you the picture. Hold on. Trump, Houthis. Let's see if they have a picture of Donald Trump with it. Normally I can pull this. Yeah, I got it. Normally I can pull it up pretty quick. So here he is. Trump ordered the airstrike that killed members of the Houthis in Yemen. And after his round, so it was after a round of golf, he was still in his clothes in the clubhouse, literally dropping bombs. You know he's doing the play-by-play. So what we have is a nice Tomahawk missile, heat-seeking, the best, the most mightiest thing you ever been. Everybody get on channel 4. This is bullshit. Pete, I see you. You're supposed to be on channel 4. Rubio, you on 4? Rubio's on 4. Elon, okay, you're on 4. I heard you. I heard you breathing. Okay. All right, everyone's in. Okay, cool. Now, if you watch closely, what we have is a circum air missile that's gonna drop right on this guy's head. Everybody count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, hold the 1, 1.5, boom. Oh, I guess I did have it queued up. My bad. I was like, oh, I thought I had it. I knew I saw it somewhere. And you gotta love, this is so Trump, his hat is signed by himself. I love it. He's fucking golfing with a hat that he signed himself. Shit. You know why he probably signed it is because he's going to sell it. He's going to give it to somebody. Hey, do you want the hat that I blew up a bunch of terrorists with on headset? I love it. I freaking love it. Yeah, look it. We're back, baby. The guy just got done. Like, Joey could never. First of all, Joey hits a golf ball backwards. Joey could never do something this great where Donald Trump's dropping bombs on terrorists. And I'm glad he did. We're in a freaking, like, folks, we used to have this in the 80s. Trump probably had this on him. He probably had a Walkman taped up. And, you know, we'll go back. He had a cassette tape hooked up to this. You know what I mean? He was out there on the links just jamming out to YMCA's. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Why you guys not dancing? Do, do, do. Right? And he just walked in and didn't. He unclipped it. He unclipped the cassette player. For us that are older, no cassettes. And just clipped it back in. Cool. Patched into Setcom. Awesome. All righty. We'll end it there. It's 7:05. We streamed long enough. I appreciate everybody joining me. If you had a good time today, if you feel like you're entertained and you love what we do here, follow us. We're here every weekday, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then we do a Dark MAGA podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's for premium members only over at Rumble. And we do get a pretty good turnout over there. It's a little bit more intimate. We have a little bit more fun. But thank you for joining me. Thank you to everybody that watches my content, my shows. Always appreciate hanging out with you guys. If you want to become a member, you can do so over at YouTube and you can do so over at Rumble. And if you feel like not giving either platform your money, well, if you go over to my website, baldbrad.com, there's a donation tab right at the top. You can customize it to your liking. A lot of you have been using that lately. Thank you so much, because we get 97% of those proceeds over to us, where, you know, Rumble and YouTube take a large cut, like 20 to 30% cut. So we lose out on that, and it goes to those companies. Rumble's not a bad one to go to. YouTube, screw those guys, because they are throttling our channel hard. With that being said, I will see you maybe later today. We'll see. Definitely tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Folks, have a lovely day. Pray for one another. Do something nice for somebody. And I'll see you next time here on The Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.